Okay, here we go, everybody. Sunday night, best time ever. Sunday night with Global Strangeness. Group of strangers brought together by the love of everything paranormal, spooky. And this week, apparently, we have Scott doing the dishes like a Jesus. We go.
Yeah, Scott.
Those must be some pretty shiny flippin' dishes. If you're doing them like that.
If you do them right.
That's awesome. So this week, folks, we are back with one of Jeremy's favorite topics. So we are Howling at the Moon with Dogmen Part 2. So such a cool creature. I don't know. I guess we'll recap because we did do one episode about this already. But for anybody who didn't happen to catch that one, Dogman is, as you guessed it, a part human, part man-looking creature. Tall, 8 to 10 feet tall, whatever your whatever.
Deborah, you just said part human, half man.
Oh, well, that's the man I know. Just joking. Part dog, part man. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's kind of interesting because there's two basic types, and I've heard that called canine, which is
okay. Slow down on that because I got pictures of that.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Oh, yeah, pictures. Good.
Yeah, two different looking guys there. So the canine looks like it's got the flanks of a dog on the bottom. So dog-like hind legs that it's standing on. There, yeah. So your dog, but really scary.
So
well,
what differentiates this from, say, a werewolf?
That's what I was just going to say is the canine version is the one that most people believe that the lore werewolf came from.
Okay.
Because dogmen are thought to pre-exist humans, kind of like Sasquatch may as well. So.
Okay.
And you do see some overlap with Sasquatch. Some people are kind of overlap them as well, which distinctly different for me, anyways. I think.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
Does this creature walk on 2 legs or 4 legs, or can it go back and forth?
Both. Oh, it can go back and forth.
And they have
which is the most terrifying part.
Yeah, and they have really long front legs, so they can kind of, if they're running fairly fast, right? And they have claws and glowing eyes and all the good stuff every good monster should have.
What's the country of origin of this creature? Do we know? Where does this creature live?
America.
I mean, there have been a majority of sightings in America and Canada, but they've also been seen in every continent of the world basically at some point or another. And look at Anubis.
Yeah, if you look back at lore and long ago lore, they're mentioned everywhere, right?
And Gilgamesh's best friend Enkidu. It's often highly debated whether Enkidu was a Sasquatch or Dogman. Because of the details given in the original saga about him. So, and Anubis, a lot of people believe the Egyptian god Anubis was the ancient culture is based what they thought their deities looked like on things they've seen.
Right.
So, we all know Sobek, the reptilian alligator Egyptian god, is most likely based on extraterrestrials. So, Dogman, though, whether he's extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, or Earth-based, who the hell knows? But it could fall in all 3 categories based on what theory you want to go with. But same as every other cryptid, really.
Interesting.
And this is the other one. Oh, not that way.
The other one it's so weird because that one's called canine, makes sense. The other one's called type 3, which I don't understand, but it's more human kind of legs and like a dog head. It's
basically the Dogman version of Sasquatch in a way, which people often I've heard people debate for hours whether type 3 is actually a Sasquatch variant or a Dogman variant. So, there's been there's been Sasquatches that look like bears too. So I mean, there's a lot of different routes you can go with these things.
And I guess it makes sense if you're in the woods and you see one of these things, either type. I mean, I can see how, it's a quick, you're shitting your pants scared, and you just, might say it's Sasquatch or whatever. It's not like you're shaking hands and asking what it is or anything, right? So
right.
I would try.
Would you though? You won't even go on a hike, you say. So
I have gone on fucking hikes, not by choice, but I've gone on hikes, and I am always looking for Sasquatch. That's the only reason I will go, is if I could reason it out, so I'm looking for Sasquatch.
Well, all I know is the only one of us that has ever actually gone on location to a scary spot is Scott. So
he went to an abandoned freaking basement he couldn't get into.
It was Ted.
I went to Ted Bundy's cave. What are you talking about? I had to climb my happy ass up there. You guys watched me take 20 minutes to get down.
But then you're all scared about some guy. You were all scared about some guy on the property.
Yeah, it's a gated off property with some hobo, and I had my kid with me, squatting on the property.
It's not a real episode, Scott, till someone goes to jail for trespassing, okay? Just saying.
Yeah, I just don't want my kid to get killed.
Yeah. So anyways, there were, like Jeremy said, most of the reports that come about Dogmen is from Canada and the US that you hear about.
Which actually, I have something to show for that too. I came fucking prepared tonight. What the hell? There it is.
That image, while you're looking for it, really reminds me of. It almost looks like a bear walking on the hind legs, which is a very strange thing to see.
Right? Have you ever seen a bear that's been skinned? Like when somebody has hunted a bear and is skinning?
Oh,
no.
It looks fairly humanoid. Like it's really weird to see that.
Like a bear with mange.
Yeah, a bear with mange. I've seen an image of that.
Why is this not coming up?
I wonder how many things, because when you're camping, usually you're having, a beer or two.
Oh, so there it is.
Your vision could be altered
a
little bit.
Point.
Maybe you might, Deborah. I would never.
Oh,
all right,
no.
so
imagine
this, if I can get kind of zoom in, cool. This, okay, didn't want to zoom in that. Fuck me. All right, this is a map from the North American Dogmen Patrol website, and this is all reported sightings of dogmen.
God, it's really thick in that one area, hey? Like they're overlapping.
I mean, that's what she said, Deborah, but...
What, can you tell us about this organization, Jeremy? Who is this organization, and how do they assemble their data?
Well, the North American Dogmen Patrol, NADP, I've had, there's one guy that runs the whole thing for the whole country, and basically, they take sightings, encounters, and they document them, and they made this amazing database, which we used last time as well to get some encounters off of. And they actually have 5 or 6 different districts in the United States. They split the United States into 5 or 6 different sections, and each section has its own district leader. And I've actually had one of them who is the Michigan area, like that district's leader, D.A. Roberts. He was one of my first interviews I got on my podcast, and he was fascinating as hell to talk to. He's been to the land between the lakes, and he's looked for the Michigan Dogmen as well, and he's done a lot of research in the field for a lot of these things. And I actually tried getting him on this show tonight, but it was too short a notice, and he was already had plans. So somewhere in the future, he'd be happy to come on gladly. And I also reached out to another guy he recommended, but I tried to. It was all too short notice. The week got away from me before I could start messaging people. But too many other podcast things to plan for first. But
another time. But that would be awesome to get.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting.
And right up here in this side in Canada is where Deborah lives.
Where are you look? Oh well,
Are you near there, Edmonton?
It's closest, yeah.
Wow.
And actually, there's one out in Anchorage, Alaska too.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any in
Seems like they probably
Hawaii?
don't have as many
No.
reporting resources in Canada, because you would think they would be pretty continuous up through that area.
Well, because the houses up there in some places are like fucking 10 miles apart at least. So
Right. So fewer reportings. Got it. Wow.
I mean, there's way more Bigfoot sightings than there are dogmen reported, but there are also plenty of people who don't report dogmen sightings because they don't know what the hell they're looking at. It's not like it's a or they get falsely reported as Bigfoot, because that's something that NADP representatives have told me before. Sometimes they get falsely represented as Bigfoots because people don't know there's a separate entity called dogmen. So,
has anybody captured any images of this creature?
Funny you should ask that.
I'm almost like a shell.
But dogman sightings. This is not the site I wanted to look at, was it? Nope. Okay. I didn't think so. I had a freaking site for that. I thought, maybe home. Oh yeah, there we go. So, is my screen changing or okay, cool. This was images captured in 2023 of an Ohio dogman allegedly captured on trail cam by Richard McCandlish, and these are the original images. And then these are the images enhanced. These are the images enhanced. So, I mean, you look at that, you say, the word I hate, werewolf, but it's a dogman. And there are more.
Dude, our trail cam sucks. But those images are a little sus for 2023.
And these are actually famous pictures of a dogman peeking out from behind a tree.
I mean, really?
That's creepy.
I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, it is. And then I saw more. Oh, yeah, and this is another one I've seen before. This is a dogman supposedly digging at a grave in Akron, Ohio, for some reason.
Wow.
Oh, that'd be freaky.
That's apparently the whole Doug, but
wow,
good dog.
Good dog. That's a bone.
Searching for a bone, I'm sure.
And those pictures are fucking horrible. No one cares about art. No one cares about that. And okay, so these are actually interesting. These are some size charts they've made up based on dogman compared to humans and the differences.
Jesus.
So, who's our model human? Is that Shaquille O'Neal or Ben Shapiro?
It's me. Come on, dude.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, compared to a coyote and wolf, and that right there, the Michigan Dogman's the taller shadow in the back, and the Beast of Bray Road is the shorter one. But I mean,
what is LBL? What's LBL mean?
Oh, Beast of Land Between the Lakes.
Oh.
And yes, okay, so this is actually the founder of the NADP, Jody Cook. He's a retired U.S. Army and Iraqi war veteran. And he started off in UFO research groups, and this is how their map is broken up in the United States. So
on the green, what does that mean? Is that less or?
That's region 1. It's west.
Well, are there less sightings there or more sightings?
I mean,
less, wasn't it?
Do the colors mean? What's that color thing mean?
There you go. The Midwest has the most sightings, which is where that cluster was in the map. 50 over half the sightings happen in the Midwest, of course. But the West is in 3rd place. The Southeast, where Michael lives, is in 2nd place. But that's also because New Orleans is there, which is the Rougarou territory. So
yeah, does that count as a dogman? The Rougarou?
Yeah, Rougarou is just another type of dogman, or a dogman. It's just Rougarou is just what the French called it. But
isn't that like specifically a werewolf that changes?
No, the Rougarou is a dogman all the time.
Oh, okay.
And fun facts, there's over 140 reports as of 2022 of dogmen in the United States, and that's reported. 34 of the
How
sightings in
many?
the United States, over 140
This year or like total?
as of 2022.
Okay, I got it.
This year.
But-
God. A lot.
And the first actual report dates back to 1887 when the Michigan dogman was first sighted. So they have history.
And is
And
that the logging guys that saw it? The logging lumberjack guys were the first.
Yeah, they were the first ones. And here, Deborah, this is actually how they break it up in Canada. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different districts in Canada for them, and they have it in Europe as well, and they also have it in Australia, New Zealand. So dogmen are everywhere.
Are there any in Asia?
I don't think Asia likes us over there, but and they actually broke it down to when the sightings are seen based on time frame, and of course most of them are from God damn it, so fuck you. Which most of them are at 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. and then from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. of course, because I mean, like any cryptid, you're gonna see it at night more than you're gonna see it during the day usually, unless it's a Sasquatch. And a majority of the sightings are been just by civilians, but there are a lot of police and military sightings as well, which is the scary part, because people actually believe police and military, and there's been 22% of the sightings have been police sightings.
Credible witnesses.
Some people believe them.
So
okay, LA boy.
Has there been anyone attacked, or like is it all just sightings? Because it's mostly.
There's been attacks. There's been murders that. There's been murders that they believe.
But has anybody been attacked and then come back to the village or whatever and survived it? Like survived an actual attack? Because I didn't see that anywhere.
I mean, I've heard it, but I've never seen it written down on anything, so I'm not 100% sure, but I know I've heard it before. Where the hell's the map? Pissing me off here. I just saw evidence of dogmen. Actually, okay, well, let me switch screens here, because I did want to share this as well, and hopefully the audio works on this. Oh, here you go, Deborah. On another website, dogmenencounters.com, do dogmen attack people? The writer of this site says he has spoken with credible eyewitnesses who said they were attacked by dogmen. They represent an extremely small percentage of the eyewitnesses who have shared their encounters with me. Less than 1% of the eyewitnesses who have shared their encounters with me claim to have been attacked by the dogmen they encountered. I mean, when you consider how low the chances are, I mean, actually, I read a story off the NADP website last time in Canada, Deborah, where a couple was chased by a dogman back to their car.
Yeah, but again, I remember that, but it's like that's a sighting, right? Like not actual. Somebody came back with claws,
like half their leg bitten off,
and an arm cut off, or something like an actual.
All right. Let me know if you can hear this.
We can hear it. Dude, that howl sounds fake as fuck. Like it's the same voice repeated over and over.
It was supposedly a dogman vocalizing that was recorded in New York State by a dogman researcher named David.
Interesting. It kind of sounds like some howl going through a cave or something, like a low, wind rushing through something hollow.
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
You think we can never get Jeremy to think dogmen might be a little bit like frogmen?
Well, I think there's a big difference between dogmen and frogmen.
There's more. There's definitely more.
There's hair.
Okay. Here's another map of dogman sightings, but worldwide.
That's
and Asia has Asia has nothing, but I mean, Australia has some, New Zealand has some, and I mean, Africa has a few, India and Thailand have a couple, Afghanistan has a couple, which I've heard Afghanistan stories. England, Europe has a bunch because that's where werewolf legends freaking started, for God's sake. And I mean, South America has a few clusters. So, I mean, this right here, I don't know how anyone could look at this and not think that these things are crazy. I mean, you can actually read each of these sightings and what the person said. So, yeah.
Well, and I think it's like you said, there's some credible witnesses to some of these.
There are.
It's not just, your whack jobs.
Jeremy, how did you get interested in this? Where did this interest stem from?
Well, I mean, it stemmed from my Bigfoot interest, of course, but I mean, I started listening to Monsters Among Us and hearing more and more about Dogmen sightings, and it just hearing people tell their stories about sighting them, and it just kind of inspired me because I always liked werewolves until I became educated, and now I hate the word werewolf, and people say werewolf, I always really fast correct them and say Dogman, not werewolf. Okay. Please don't say that word. But so I mean, I don't know. Just the idea of like man's best friend being a vicious cryptid is a whole nother level. I mean, apes being cryptids like Sasquatch are one thing, but a dog. I mean, it's man's best friend.
Right. That juxtaposition of a dog as a monster, a cryptid, is interesting.
I mean, yeah, wolves have always existed, and humans killed them because they were taking our livestock and whatnot. But
right, competition for food.
I mean, still, the fact that there's dogmen and that there's proof of it going back to ancient times is just insane. So that's what got me into it, and I.
Oh, finish.
No. I basically was done. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, if you were gonna rate most believable, you got dinosaurs, Bigfoot, Dogmen. Rated in that order.
Wait a minute. So dinosaurs, Bigfoot, Dogmen, and what else?
Yeah, still living dinosaurs.
So just those three?
Your Thunderbird, yeah.
I know you. Okay. In believability.
Yeah.
I mean, can I rank them all in the same place?
Put all your money on one.
I mean,
he can't do that. Come on.
Dude, you're asking me to choose between children here. Fuck. But this is Sophie's choice. I mean, 100% though. I'd have to put it on Bigfoot. There's more proof of that than living dinosaurs or dogmen, but that's just because dogmen reports have just started coming in really big over the last couple of decades. Bigfoot reports have been coming in for hundreds of years. So, I mean, I'd have to give it to Bigfoot. He would win that one because, I mean, yeah.
An honest answer.
I mean, dogmen and dinosaurs, though, both take second place because there's been about equal sightings of both. So,
I think the other thing, Jeremy, is dogmen obviously isn't as well known as, say, Bigfoot.
Oh, that's a big thing, yeah, because like I said, Dogman is a phenomenon over the last couple of decades more than anything because people finally started talking about it and they're like, oh, I'm not crazy? And I mean, Small Town Monsters has done multiple movies on the different Dogman legends, and the documentaries they do about them are all freaking amazing.
And Linda, Small Town Monsters, that's new to me. That sounds interesting.
Well, they did a podcast called Monsteropolis, and they were making all these documentaries about different cryptids and different phenomena and aliens. And so, like, I've seen their first 5 or 6. I'm really behind on watching their documentaries. They stopped doing podcasts now, and they just do. They're actually working on a new Dogman documentary now, about ancient Dogmen. But they've been around for 5, 6 years, 7 years, maybe I'd say.
And so, have you found any? Because the origin, have you heard a lot of origin stories? Because there's that. I think we talked about it in our last episode about the legend of the dog ribs, where the lady gave birth to some dog-like creatures, and then
Are you sure?
three of them,
Are you? Oh,
three of them
Okay,
escaped. And they feel like that's where they originated from. But have you heard any other origin stories of it?
I mean, I think Scott did this one last time, but the Canaanites from the Bible
Well,
were supposedly
yeah,
dogmen.
no, last time we did it, I did the whole history of the Canaanites, and it was just like a mistranslation. So, like dogmen, it's the Canaanites, the sons of Cain, and that got translated into dogmen, Canaanites. But I think I actually did the breakdown on the Giants episode because in a different language, Canaanite meant giant. And then that's how like they got drawn on the maps. Sometimes they were giants, sometimes it was dogmen, but it was a mistranslation of Canaanite.
I mean,
I think that was in the
There's
Giants episode, though. I don't think it was in the Dogman
Oh.
episode.
I mean, but it does go back to that. I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh, like I said, which dates back to Sumeria, ancient Sumeria, or I mean, I'm sorry, oh, actually, ancient Sumeria and ancient Mesopotamia, because he kind of went through both in the Epic. But his best friend Enkidu, that the Great Creator grants him this friend, is basically described as either a Sasquatch or Dogman. If you look at how he's described as a hairy humanoid creature that had like very dog-shaped ears, and it's weird. And I mean, the other two origins, I mean, a lot of people think they're ultra-terrestrial, like the same people think Sasquatches as well and aliens, that all these creatures are just jumping through portals when they're coming over to this dimension for something, food, who knows, or maybe they're trying to escape something, who knows. I mean, I am not.
So, like a fourth dimensional being?
Well, just an ultra-terrestrial, just an interdimensional being. I mean, there's at least I've heard up to 18 dimensions that are known. So, I mean, if each of these dimensions have their own creatures like this, then who the hell knows what's over there? I've talked to people who astral project and who lucid dream and go to these different dimensions in their dreams. So, that episode's actually really interesting. But so I mean,
Deborah, get on that shit.
I don't go to dimensions like that though.
I mean, I was told by him that some of these dimensions are very welcoming and warm, and the creatures that are there are friendly.
And some are not.
And some are the complete opposite. Some of them, there are creatures that are like giants, and like they don't like us apparently. But so, I mean, in the last origin theory people usually put out there is extraterrestrial, because every cryptid can be extraterrestrial if you want to spin it that way. I mean, that kind of goes with my Earth as a prison theory, but I don't know. I definitely would rank that they've always been here as the first real origin, and then I'd say extraterrestrial, then ultra-terrestrial, if I'm going to rank what I believe on those three. But I don't know. It's unknown, and all I know is I've heard enough stories of people seeing them that I wouldn't want to see one myself. You ain't gonna throw out no damn stick, and ain't gonna fetch a stick for you. It's gonna kill you. But
oh, come on, you'd want to see one
from a armored tank window, sure.
Well, so I do have a couple short eyewitness encounters. If you want to hear that, these are fairly recent.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say specific names though, so I can't credit the actual person. It just says one guy from Ohio said people need to be made aware of these things. They're as real as it gets, and they're dangerous. So his encounter was, he's always loved nature. I love the woods. I love hiking and camping and fishing. On this occasion, I was by a lake for 15 minutes when all of a sudden this overwhelming feeling of dread came over me. I switched my headlamp on to turn around and start back up the river. And right behind was a big figure. And as I locked eyes on it, I completely froze. I knew I was definitely seeing something there, but my mind just couldn't process it. So what I was looking at didn't make any effing sense. He's got the word in there. I kept saying to myself, animals aren't supposed to look like that. And right as I'm thinking this, it's as if this thing read my mind, stood up, and made itself perfectly visible. You know, the monsters your parents told you weren't real and couldn't hurt you? I've heard of the Dogman before, but I never really took it seriously. These things are perfectly adapted killing machines. The way the arms and legs looked, it looked like it was perfectly adapted to walk on all fours as well as two legs. This experience has torn a huge hole in me. So that's one encounter. Another who shared their experience in Georgia said he was rafting with friends when he had to answer a call of nature. So when stopping in a clearing, a genetically mixed entity of man and primate suddenly stepped forward. And he added, I've spent 21 years in the army all over the world in 3 different theaters of war, and I've barely slept at all since seeing this thing, an enormous creature type thing, canine creature type. I can still taste the fear in my throat and my own vomit. I am 6 foot tall and about 250 solid pounds, and this thing dwarfed me. At least 7'6" and maybe 350 to 400 pounds. As a former college and semi-pro football player and powerlifter, I knew about big people and about strength and musculature, and this was no normal creature. That it somehow evolved in that environment. And I can promise you this is not something anyone would want to encounter twice. So that's pretty descriptive. And then another witness, a deputy sheriff, said, there isn't many things in the world that scare me. Put simply, I've seen some shit in my days, but nothing prepared me for that night. I recall there was a search for a young man sucked into a storm drain, and I parked my cruiser at what I believed was the electric company storage yard. About 5 minutes pass before I hear a snorting, almost sniffing sound coming from the other side of the tracks. I turned on my light, and to this day I wish I hadn't. This thing had pointed ears and a long muzzle, and it looked me right in the face before it bolted into the timber. It was not a mask, and it was not a person in a costume. Who would walk up to an armed man with a police radio in full uniform and risk getting shot? I remember it was so surreal, so final, I guess. So, pretty scary, pretty descriptive.
Well, see, there you go. A civilian, military, and police.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, so that's what a lot of sightings are. Just you see them, and that's all it ends up being is because most people get the fuck out of there because that's a smart thing to do. But I mean, I've also heard of truckers having their trucks attacked by them, and the next day they go out and there's huge claw marks in the truck.
I was gonna say, didn't we talk about a story about something where it scratched the truck on a dirt road or whatever? I remember us talking about that, like claw marks all over the truck. But was it Wendigo or was it?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's been so many, like I can't remember.
Well, let's see here.
That would fit a lot of cryptids.
Okay, well, let's see. I got some different from the second website I use. There's sightings by state, and funny enough, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 states in here with no sightings reported. Connecticut, Delaware, Mississippi, New Jersey, North Dakota, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, Vermont, and Wyoming. Sorry, Scott.
Which is weird because those are heavily treed. Why wouldn't there be sightings there?
Well, I'm going to click on Florida, for fuck's sake. And let's see. Hey, Michael, you pick. You want me to do a Leon County, Polk County, or Sarasota County encounter?
I would prefer Sarasota County because it's the closest one to me.
Oh, I know Sarasota County. Okay. So this was reported on July 16th, 2018 at 6:42 p.m. by an anonymous person on this site. I am from Northport, Florida. We have a 12-mile reserve called Carlton Reserve. I was out there messing around with some friends. They went off ahead of me to go mudding. I was at a tree line taking a leak in the marshy field in front of me. I noticed a figure in the field. He was very coyote-like. He was tannish gray in color and very lanky and tall. He was crouched over eating a boar. I got the bright idea to yell, so I did. As I did, his ears perked up and I realized what I was looking at. He must have not seen me because he looked around for a little and continued to eat. The whole encounter lasted about 5 minutes. I'm not sure what I saw, but it was something I've never seen before, and I've been living here for 16 years.
Wow.
Sounds like Florida.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Okay, Michael, it's close to you, so you have your field trip assignment.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is all new to me, Deborah, so I will be on the lookout, honestly. This is something I was totally unaware of.
well, I'm going to go with the Polk County, Florida encounter next, because this one actually seems interesting.
Okay.
So, this isn't a personal encounter. The person who wrote it writes, which they submitted this on. Okay, well, it doesn't matter what they submitted it, but this happened to his mother and his uncle when they were children. They shared 3 different encounters with dogmen with him, and he wanted to. All have been years that ended with a 7, ironically enough. But so he wanted to get him out there for people to know about. But this encounter happened in Lakeland, Florida, in '77. His mom was 6, and his uncle was a few years younger than her. His grandparents were passing through, and a friend of theirs let them spend the night in a vacant house that their friends owned. The windows were open in the house. It was spring or summer, with bug screens on the windows. His grandmother was out in front of the house taking care of his youngest uncle, who was still a baby. His grandfather was reportedly using the bathroom at the time. His mom and uncle were in a back room playing, and his mom said the window that was in the room was very high. Imagine the windows that would be in a basement, except this was an upper floor window. If you were outside, the window would be about 10 to 12 feet off the ground, so the window was pretty high. And his mom said that as she and his uncle were playing, a huge hairy paw with long claws reached up to that window and grabbed the screen, and then dragged its claws down diagonally across the screen. They thought it was his grandfather just playing a cruel prank on them. So they barged out of the room and headed straight to the front of the house. They found his grandmother and demanded to know where the grandfather was. They got told he was in the bathroom, and they didn't believe her. So they went to the bathroom, opened the door, and he was sitting there in the toilet in the middle of doing his business. So the window in the bathroom was similar to that of the room that the 2 had been in. So he wouldn't have had time to climb out of the window, climb back up, and get back on the toilet. Like, it obviously wasn't a prank. Both grandparents thought the 2 of them were just freaking out over nothing at the time. But the next morning, they went out, and there were scratches on the outside wall of the house, and the window screen was torn up. So, I mean, that happened in '77, and I'm pretty sure this guy called this into Monsters Among Us, too, because I feel like I heard this before. But I mean, I don't know.
And was there dog tracks outside, or does it say? It didn't say.
He didn't say. He didn't quite say, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that one. But let's say here. Let's go with a state that would surprise me. Or actually, there's a worldwide tab. Let's go there. Amaze me. Okay, what do we want? Brazil, Norway, New Zealand, Austria, Australia, or Sweden?
Australia. I want to see the ones that swam over there.
They didn't have to swim. They were always there.
Nah.
But this was submitted on July 7th, 2016. I had just gotten off a bus at the train station and was walking through a small shortcut. As I was walking down the street, I noticed someone at the end of the street in the dark watching me. I didn't think much about it at the time. I checked my phone for the time and saw it was 11:06 p.m. When I looked back up, I noticed 2 pairs of glowing yellow gold-like eyes. Then I remembered that I had seen someone or something in that spot before. I stopped walking so I could get a better look at it. Suddenly, it went down on all 4s and ran off. I could feel my heart beating and my fear rising. I waited for a minute to calm down. After I went on walking and looked back at my phone. It was 11:08 p.m. When I looked back up, I saw it running back on the edge of the footpath I needed to use to cross the street. When I first saw it was on all 4s, it then started to stand on 2 legs and was watching me. I could feel its eyes staring at me. And then a few seconds later, as I was still walking, trying to act like I couldn't see it, it went back down on all 4s and ran down the road I needed to use to get home. As I rounded the end of the street, I could see it running down the side of the road, heading towards the forest. So, okay. Australia one wasn't the best because it was just literally a faraway sighting.
But you know
Screw it.
why, too? Because she just keeps walking along. But it's because there's so many freaking scary wildlife, spiders, snakes. Like, Australia's animals are freaking scary. You're not going to shake them very easily, right? Like, it can be a terrifying looking thing, but what isn't over there? Like, there's, don't you think? A cryptid has to up their game over there.
He certainly has enough cats over there to chew on. They've got a major problem with the domestic feline throughout the outback.
Yeah, they hunt house cats. That's a fucking trip, dude.
They hunt house cats? What? I didn't know this.
Yeah, because it's so overpopulated.
It's like wild pigs.
They're a nuisance animal. Yeah, kind of like wild pigs.
Hey, Deborah, what's closer to you, New Brunswick, Alberta, or Ontario?
Alberta.
All right, well, this was submitted on June 7th, 2016 by Jessica John Vieira. And it was she said it was a large dog, but didn't quite match the typical description of a dog man. It looked fake, like someone put on a costume. It looked like a cross between a domestic dog breed and a wild dog. Its belly was brown, but the rest of the fur on its body was mostly black. It was kind of fluffy and had hair on the tips of its ears. The reason why I described it as being Dogman-like is because it almost fit the appearance. It had huge paws with claws. I once saw a bear in this thing's... How old is this person? I once saw a bear in this thing's paws about the same size as the bear's paws. It stood up on 2 feet as she drove by. She was curious and wanted to pull over and get a better look at it, but the driver behind her must have been scared because he rear-ended her and maintained speed after she switched to the emergency park lane. Okay, she's old enough to drive at least. She slowly started to brake, but he honked and she gave up trying to stop. She was going to stop and try to take a picture. It was between Elk Point and Vermilion.
So he rear-ended her and nobody pulled over, worried about the accident at all? Like, he's...
Well,
weird, isn't it?
She said he was probably scared because he saw the same thing. But...
Distracted by the dog man.
And it's Canada, Canadian drivers, you know.
Explain that to your insurance company, okay? That guy didn't have insurance.
I know. We got to ask ourselves: is Canada even real?
I know.
Come on now, all these experiences coming from Canada probably doesn't even exist.
There's only 2 counties in Massachusetts with sightings, so I'll go with the county I live in. Worcester County. But back in 2004, Jesus, this is a long one, but it was reported in summer 2009, but back in 2004, my husband and I were given 3 of our grandchildren a raise. They were aged 1.5, 3, 4.5. Apparently they got another girl grandchild later on, but they lived in a small town, New England, so small you could step out of the house and see the police station, fire department, post office just beyond the house. All right, I don't care about the town. What is this, a fucking Stephen King novel? Okay. So one day after work, they came home, and the youngest children were 6 and 4. They came home to find the house in a state of disarray. Supper had been made, and the kids were running with a story about a big gorilla that had been outside that day. The 2 youngest let me know that during the afternoon they saw a big gorilla in front of the house running along the street. They said it was very fast. Then the big gorilla jumped our picket fence and ran to our yard. The children said they had their noses pressed against the window pane, that the big gorilla came up to the window and growled at them and pushed his paws against the window. They said they tried to wake up her husband, but he had fallen asleep on the couch and they couldn't wake him up. He was probably drunk. But the big gorilla then ran to the backyard where it broke some car windows and threw about some trash cans. They didn't disbelieve the children, but they were just too tired at the point to deal with it. And they just kind of blew it off.
What?
And
they believed it, but
I guess
with it? Like, what?
Yeah, what was up with that story, dude?
it's not over. But they did say a few years prior to that incident, she had seen a very large dead wolf she presumed hit by a car laying on the roadside. It wasn't a coyote nor a coy dog. And I mean, wolves are not in Worcester County normally, so that'd be something different if you saw a wolf laying on the side of the road, dead. And years before the children came to live with them, both her and her husband witnessed large dog-type footprints in their backyard, which they told the animal control officer about it in a nearby town, and he didn't seem too surprised by it, apparently. And their cats started to go missing around the time they saw the dog prints in the backyard, too. And they found one of their cats, the best hunted, Peter, the best hunter in town, high up on their neighbor's roof. The house was 3 stories, and I mean, I don't know, are dogmen throwing fucking cats on roofs? But basically, she's reporting this story now because when the children got older, they moved to North Carolina, and they found this Dogman Encounters program on YouTube, and that's when she decided to report to the Dogman Encounters website, which is what I'm on. And she asked the boys about it, who were at the time 12 and 14, and asked if they remember the time about the story with the big gorilla, and they remember the story exactly as it happened. Was that 4 and 6? So that'd be 8 years later. They remember it detail for detail. And they actually even gave more detail that it had black hair and a long bushy tail. It had paws with fingers. It didn't have the face of a gorilla or a monkey, they said, but they couldn't tell much more about the face because of the hair all over it. And the 14-year-old even shivered when he was asked if he remembered it. So, I mean...
So does that sound more like Sasquatch, though? Like hands with, like, fingers, and they were calling it gorilla to begin with? That sounds more like a Sasquatch. Bigfoot.
Well, dogmen don't... I mean, I don't know. Dogmen are more likely to be in cities than Sasquatch are, though.
We got some dogmen over here eating fucking bloody shit.
I mean, maybe he needed to go to Target. I don't know.
Where's New York?
I do want to know about the bloody shit that's being consumed at Scott's house.
Oh.
What is it? What is that?
Uh-oh, we got some chimichurri over here, too. It was fucking delicious.
Dogman would love it.
Dogmen would love it, especially the chimichurri.
Oh, chimichurri is good.
Thought I was going to have some leftovers for tomorrow. That ain't happening.
But does anybody else have anything, or am I just going to keep going here? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I got shit. Michael, you got shit?
Well, I was looking on YouTube, and there's some pretty interesting videos about the Dogman. Some sightings on doorbell cameras and stuff like that.
If you shoot me, if you got a good one, shoot me the link on Messenger. I'll put it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Got my paperwork. No more moving. Kids are fed.
I'm still waiting to get some of that damn jerky in the mail from you, Scott.
Hey, I sent you a Christmas card.
It was very nicely crafted.
Thank you so much.
Did you get yours, Deborah? I put like 3 extra stamps on there.
No, I didn't get any Christmas card. You sent me a Christmas card?
Oh no.
Yeah, I did.
Oh. No, I
Jeremy,
didn't.
I think Jeremy, you got yours like the day after Christmas or some shit, right? I sent it like 8 days.
It was right
before
around.
Christmas.
It was right.
Well, I'll keep checking then. It should be coming.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like some sort of custom shit because it looked fucking janky as hell. Like I was sending you some sort of ransom letter or some shit. So it might be stuck in the border somewhere.
No,
It was like
hasn't.
It was
hasn't
like
been returned to sender.
Scott. They literally said, "This letter from this American does not look right." Send it out the door. We're done with this.
Yeah, it might have got stopped, but I looked up and saw how much stamps I had to throw on that shit. So should get there eventually.
Yeah, wait, that's exciting. Ooh.
Next year I'll send Deborah's in October or something.
How the hell you go down this shit? Oh, okay. Oh, this is YouTube Shorts. That's why. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that looks like the picture that you sent. I don't know if that's a fake or what, but it probably is.
That looks like a young bear.
It kind of, or a bear mange.
Yeah.
It just, the neck is so thick at the top. It's very interesting.
It's got a long tail, doesn't it? You can't really see.
Yeah, I guess a bear wouldn't have a tail, long tail.
Security camera, here it is. Footage of the Dogman, the fabled Dogman. Nobody's been able to.
Hold on, I want to get sound.
Is that his toddler?
Right, folks, I would have
I want to
believed
watch
it
that video.
if I hadn't seen it on my own security camera. Here it is. Footage of the Dogman, the fabled Dogman. Nobody's been able to capture on clear video. Look at him. Look at Look at him. What's he doing? He's beating up on my lawnmower.
Well, shit, now I'm a believer, dude.
In the hell? Nobody has video of the Dogman. Where's he going? I don't like that he's around here. All right, folks, I never believed it.
Sorry
I
about
hadn't
that.
seen it on my own security camera. Here it is.
No, I'm a believer now. Like, saw that shit full on.
Was that all the mic, or do you have more?
I think it's a possibility that it's real. But there has to be a breeding population, so there's got to be enough of these around that.
Well, I would say it's like the Sasquatch, that most of them, except Dogmen, mostly come from the Midwest area, Midwest United States, that is, and they, I mean, at least in the United States, I don't know what they do in Europe. They're all over the fucking place, but in the Midwest United States, like, that's where they probably are mostly centered, and they basically, that's where they probably breed, and there's probably been a few offshoot families that go to different parts of the country. I mean, the Rougarous have been in New Orleans since America got founded, supposedly, so who knows? I mean, maybe there's...
I did send you a picture that I took in...
You did. I have pictures.
None of them are in Utah.
There was a bar named after...
No one wants to be in Utah, Scott.
This thing.
Tell that to all the people moving here. Great advice.
I don't know how to pronounce that, but
that's Rougarou. That's Rougarou Bar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Dogman, is it?
That's great.
That's the Dogman. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's Dogman. That's the Rougarou is a version of the Rougarou is what the French Cajuns called the Dogmen back in the early.
Yeah, that in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Well, yeah, that's where
bar named after this creature.
Oh, Louisiana is rife with Rougarou, from what I've been told.
What a great name for.
I can't wait to go there one day, dude. That's got to be awesome. Not that far, just Louisiana.
That bar looks awesome too.
Because there's a theory that the head of the Sphinx just doesn't really seem to make sense. And, you know, just in terms of scale. So there was an idea that the Sphinx was actually originally, what is it, Anubis? Is that the correct?
Yeah, Anubis.
You mentioned that earlier.
I mean, Anubis is... I forget what Anubis was the god of, actually. I forget what he stood for, but I don't want to say life, because I know that's not right, but I think, was Anubis the god of death? Am I mistaken?
No, he was not the god of death. I think he was the god above all gods, wasn't he?
No, that's Ra.
Ra, yes. So Anubis is the Jesus character, and
It's been a long time since I looked into Egyptian mythology or listened to a mythology podcast.
He's the god of funerary practices and care of the dead.
Oh,
Yep,
okay, I was right.
I was wrong.
Graves and a guide to the underworld.
Yeah, he was also the god of mummification. So, yeah.
That
makes
the
sense.
Sphinx's head though is like significantly smaller than the body, right? I've heard that it was supposed to be a lion.
Yeah, I've heard the lion
But-
theory too.
Yeah.
It does make sense.
was- It was definitely like they carved it down, though,
Yeah.
right? Like the
Or
head's way the fuck smaller.
Or it just broke down over time and they rebuilt it as like a face. But, 'cause, I mean, it could have broke. Ancient Egypt was around for so long, it could have been broken down many times and rebuilt. So
I'm not sure that the image presented here makes much more sense. That obviously the head is again oversized, but the theory is that maybe it was the dog man, as you say.
Anubis.
Thought it was
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, that's what I got.
Scott, you're up.
Okay, well, I did a bunch of research on the old Dogmen last time, so we're doing a Valentine's Day special this time.
Oh God, help us all.
First off, I want to say fucked DraftKings. This is brought to you by 615 Breaks on the old Tickety Talks. You'll make money with them. But Lupercalia, that you guys, I've talked about it. You guys know rough idea what Lupercalia is?
No.
I know the name. I can't think of what the hell it is at this point, but I know the name.
Okay, so it was a festival that was celebrated for 1,200 years during Roman times.
Oh,
And the whole thing was tied to the story of Romulus and Remus. They were brothers that were abandoned by their mother, Ray Silvia, in the Lupercal caves next to the Tiber River. And Lupercal, Lupra, all that shit, it just means wolf. So it's like the festival of the wolf. So Lupercalia is one of those holidays that the old Catholics converted into St. Valentine's Day so they could keep their pagan followers. It was originally celebrated on February 15th, not the 14th, though. And it was believed that Romulus and Remus were raised by a she-wolf, and then they were discovered by a shepherd named Fastulas. They were then raised as shepherds till they found out that they were from a royal bloodline. And then they would defeat Amulus, which is kind of close to the last guy Jeremy was talking about. And they reclaimed... Amulus, Anubis, same thing. They reclaimed their grandfather's heir to the throne. If this story was myth, legend, it's unclear. It dates back before Rome was established as a country. But now when we jump ahead, people would celebrate the holiday. It would start out with two families in a cave where the Romulus and Remus were supposedly found. So there were two groups of priests from two different families. There were the Quintelli, who were direct bloodline of Romulus, and then the Fabii, who were descendants of Remus. And this would end up with quite a coinkydink, because the Quintilli would produce the... Huh?
What's a quinkadink?
What's a coinkydink? Well, isn't that a coinkydink?
Coincidence.
Okay.
So the Quintilli produced the first emperor of Rome, but they were like a really unknown family. And then the Fabii, they were like the ballers out of control in Rome at the time. They owned everything. They were like the famous fucking people. But these two families, they would have the feast of Lupercalia up in that same cave where Romulus and Remus were supposedly found, and they'd be drinking wine, they'd be feasting, and then they would sacrifice goats and a dog. And normally the dog, that was like a Roman no-no. This was pretty much the only celebration that you could sacrifice a dog. And after they sacrificed the animals, the priests would pick 2 kids that would come to, be the Romulus and Remus rebirth, and they would rub the blood from the knife on the kids' heads. And then a priest from the other family would immediately wipe it off with a cloth soaked in milk. And this would represent the violent acts that the city had to do so it could remain a peaceful city. So it was like war and peace, right there.
I love Roman lore. I really do love Roman lore.
This is Roman history. It's not lore. This is history.
It's Roman lore. Roman history wasn't even a thing at that point. But
I know a guy who knows a guy, dude. This is 100% true.
I mean, I know that's what they named Remus Lupin after for Harry Potter. That's what J.K. Rowling named him after, was the original Remus from Romulus and Remus.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, and this, this lore spreads out into fucking Christmas. Like it's crazy. But now the fun shit begins.
Oh, God help us.
Because after this whole fucking celebration with the priests, now we're gonna walk into town. So the priests would skin the goats and they would make whips out of the fucking skin. And then they would run into the city drunk, naked, with whips in hand. And then at the same time, their little feast celebration was going on. The people in town were all, or city, I guess, Rome, were all feasting and partying. And so they had a big gathering of people. Priests run in there naked. I got a stuck page here. And the priests would just start whipping random people in the crowd. So it was kind of like a Krampus knock, right? Like you're just running around whipping people.
I believe the priests still practice this in the Vatican with their altar boys, just saying. But
probably. That's probably fact. But during this whole time of like getting whipped, people didn't try to avoid getting their whoopings. If you were lucky enough,
Rome, home of all the original kinks. What can I say?
Like, stay home that night. Why would you even go in the streets? Like, what the hell?
Well,
rewind.
I will tell you, Deborah. I will tell you. If you would have stayed home, you might not get a lash into the ass, and then you wouldn't have been extra fertile that year. So if you're trying to make little slave babies that are going to farm your land, you better get your ass out there.
My husband can go. He can take it for the team. I'm staying home.
Okay. But the women would want to especially go because they wanted to get whipped by the priest. They would run up and expose their bare skin to the priest, because not only did the women get extra fertility, but if a woman got whipped, her pain during childbirth would dramatically lessen.
This sounds like some man made up a story.
No, dude, I told you, I know a guy who knows a guy. This is
but I mean,
factual.
But what kind of site did you meet that guy on?
This is a wild story.
I mean,
hey, it's history.
Deborah, I mean, it's funny. It's kind of funny because nowadays it's the opposite. Men are whipped.
Yeah, go back to the old days where you get a mop handle and, cook me a sandwich. But yeah, next time you're down,
cook me a sandwich.
says Scott does the dishes like Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I'm demasculated.
He makes the dishes walk on water.
Yeah.
They do. They sparkle clean. So the next time you're down in the dumps in Valentine's Day, remember it comes from a place of fun. Naked drunk priests hitting exposed women with strips of murdered goat skin.
Wow.
Sounds like Catholic school.
What was the name of this
Lupercalia.
holiday again?
Lupercalia.
You're just in time to make some.
It's Valentine's Day, the
Valentine's
start
Day.
of Valentine's Day.
Yeah. There's some gift ideas for Valentine's. Come on.
I'm going to get right
Yeah.
on that.
It's
Gonna break out your
Yeah.
whip.
my old podcast. I had a fucking, I don't even know what they would be called, like a priestess of fucking non-pagan shit. Come on, that's where I learned about it. But yeah, Easter's a fun one too. We'll get into that later. I got some Reddit stories.
Oh, let's hear it, Scott. I tried to avoid Reddit on this one, but you go ahead.
Okay. Since I knew my research wouldn't suffice for Jeremy, I got some Dogman stories on Reddit.
Good boy, Scott. Good dog, Scott.
Okay. So let's do this first one here. We got Reddit user deleted. So this comes from a deleted Reddit user. Hello, my name is Shaggy Satire. I guess
I saw that one. I
guess
saw
so.
that one.
But you can call me Shaggy for short. I'm going to recant a story of mine that I tell rarely. My own family don't even know about this, and while that might sound weird to trust me, it makes more sense to tell internet strangers than the people I'm forced to be around. Mr. Extremes, an amazing narrator, so that's not me. He's not calling out to me there. Once read this story for his channel, and I am happy with. Okay, fuck all this. Okay, so this happened when I was much younger. I'd have to ask my parents when the camping trip happened to tell you how many years ago it was, but I can assure you it was at least a decade. Now I'm going to use some questionable words, which might not be okay for our podcast, describing the location. Words like wooded and wilderness reserve, because I don't know the best words for the thing.
Scott, did you
Around
write
it-
this?
I did not write this. No. And I think I might want to skip this guy's, like, he's got fucking pages of this shit, dude. We'll go to story 2 here. I'll read one story and then I'll be done. Let me get my oculars. These are your eyewitness accounts. And it's funny because they all come from the same account and they're all deleted Reddit users.
It doesn't mean they're all from the same account. That means that it's multiple deleted Reddit users because they probably wrote them a long time ago and got rid of the Reddits.
No, they all come from No Sleep, even in different articles. So it's like reposted. Okay, the Michigan Dogman. I've always been fascinated by urban legends and tales of supernatural creatures. I've heard of the Dogman since I was young, when I first heard the legend played on the radio. Oh, that'd be cool. Did we play that the last time? That
What?
sounds familiar. Was there a radio broadcast?
Yeah. We did.
Yeah, I
talk.
think we talked
Okay.
about it, I think. I mean, there's also many songs about Dogman as well. There's some
Was
folk
that
songs
it?
about
Was
him.
it a song?
Yeah, there was the legend of something. I can't remember the name of it. But
No,
yeah.
yeah, there's a song about some guys were playing with a dog. It ran in a log, and all four came out on two, like something like that. But
Yeah, check our last episode because I'm pretty sure we played that shit.
I don't know how the fuck they. I mean, okay, it might be at our YouTube. It might be at our Global Strangers YouTube that doesn't get updated anymore. But we'll see.
Well, you're in control now, my friend.
You got to give me access to it, and I'll freaking upload all the videos there.
Okay. Talk after podcast talk. Okay, so we're to the radio. A mysterious creature said to roam the forests of the Great Lakes region. And with my fascination came a sense of wanting to find a creature and to see for myself if it was really out there. Armed with a curious mind and a flashlight, I set out to explore the woods near my hometown. It was an overcast night with only a dim glow of the stars to guide my path and the fucking flashlight you were talking about. As I ventured deeper into the forest, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched. Every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. But I pressed on, my curiosity overpowering my unease. Little did I know how much of a mistake it was to ignore my instincts. After what felt like hours of wandering, I stumbled forward. An eerie silence blanketed the forest as if a switch was flipped, and all the sound in the world disappeared. Something drew me toward it, an invisible force urging me to step closer. That's when I surveyed my surroundings in detail. I saw it, a pair of glowing amber eyes staring back at me from the shadows. My heart skipped a beat as the creature revealed itself, a massive canine-like figure, standing upright on two legs. Its fur was matted and dark, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. It was a dog man, and it had fixed its gaze on me.
That sounds
Primal
like
fear.
some fucking paranormal romance. It sounds like some paranormal romance fiction.
I know. Is this going to be like adults only? Jeremy, listen.
Dogmen erotica. It's Dogmen erotica.
A primal fear surged through my veins, and I stumbled back. Is that what you're feeling like right now, Jeremy?
Scott, I swear to God you wrote this about what happened in the bedroom last night.
Dropping my flashlight in the process, and with but a moment's hesitation, I turned and ran as fast as my legs could carry me. The sound of heavy footsteps pounded behind me, growing louder and closer with each passing second. I could hear its snarls and sharp snapping of its jaws, hungry for the chase. Is anybody else buying into any of this shit?
Not the stories you found.
I'm using you as a meter.
That's why I didn't go to Reddit.
My breath grew ragged and my muscles screamed in protest, but the adrenaline fueled my desperate sprint. Branches whipped against my face, and this sounds more and more like a fucking Dogman erotica.
It sounds like Dogmen erotica.
It might be. I didn't read this story.
Jesus.
I swear to God, Scott, if it gets to a point where they say the dogman mounted me and unsheathed, I swear to God.
That would be funny. And the forest floor seemed to rise up to trip me, but I pushed through, determined to escape the clutches of the monstrous dogman. My lungs burned and my vision blurred as I reached the edge of the woods. My house stood just a few yards away, its light providing a beacon of hope. Summoning the last reserves of my strength, I sprinted across the yard and flung open the front door. How much more of this shit we got? I slammed it shut, panting heavily as I leaned against it, my heart racing in my chest. I felt a mixture of relief and terror as I looked through the window and saw the dog man standing naked outside. Oh, no, there was no naked. Standing at the edge of the clearing, its gaze fixed upon me, its mouth curled into a wicked snarl, revealing sharp, glistening teeth in what looked like a cruel, strangled smile. For a moment, we locked eyes, and I could feel his soul in mine. A battle of wills between human and beast. I knew that I had escaped, but the encounter had left an indelible mark on my soul. The dog man had shown me the darkness lurking just beyond the realm of understanding, and it was a sight I would never forget.
Jesus.
To this day, I am plagued with the memory of that night and that I cannot find my precious Dogman because it was love at first sight. The image of the Dogman's glowing eyes and sinister grin haunts my dreams, and a constant reminder of terrors that exist in the shadows.
What a story.
Yeah. Scott, I think Scott, I think I saw that one actually.
Paragraph.
I think I saw that. I think I saw that in dogmanencounters.com. I just didn't want to read it because it sounded like fucking horrible. But and actually, okay.
Well, I want to get the general population's Dogman description here, so we can have an honest review of what these sightings are about. I just
all right.
picked a rando.
Hey,
I got to finish the last one, and it looks like he's getting into the bedroom. Dogman's throbbing.
Oh, shut up.
Oh my god.
Ignore Scott, ladies and gentlemen. But I mentioned earlier small town monsters. Well, this is the trailer for their Dogman feature from 2023. So.
Oh, cool.
This came from a very good friend of mine. He recorded this off his property. I honestly
is it pausing for everyone else?
I think they may have a dog in here. Anyway, shall we? Please.
It's just starting to get dark, but it's not dark. You can see everything. So we're in it out because everybody knows about the monster, you know. That door hits that drawer so hard.
The traditional European werewolf was essentially the result of a pact with the devil. It's described as being about 7 feet tall.
Walks on 2 legs. It's more ferocious, more frightening.
Has longer arms, broad shoulders.
So they are getting their food from somewhere.
It was across the fence, 40 yards from me. I mean, that changed me. It changed who I am today. I'm a different person.
The behaviors that are described are still very similar. You still have stories of them standing by the wood line or rising from all fours into a 2-legged stance and then walking away.
He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to try roping." He took off. I took off.
So it's here when the situation's getting extreme. That's when these helicopters start coming in. You see it. They spin it or try to cover it up. They're keeping quiet about it. 5 people went up missing.
That looks good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm a believer.
Dogman triangle.
Oh, small town monsters. What?
It's the end of that trailer said something about the Dogman triangle.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be where Jeremy lives.
That's
right?
the name of the
where
movie.
Most sightings are.
Okay.
And is that because geographically?
No, that's the Midwest.
Whoa.
That was cool. I'd watch that. That's on YouTube, huh?
And no, that's just a trailer. They used to be on a lot of their older videos are on Amazon Prime, but the newer ones I'm not sure where they're being streamed.
If you had to say what it was,
a dog standing up on hind legs and going across.
I didn't believe in werewolves, but this wasn't something I could deny.
It's a really weird subject up there, I will tell you that.
Yeah, we're definitely finding that.
In the nightmare, there would be a werewolf and then just regular wolves on all fours, and it would want to come in the house. It would want me.
I'm gonna tell you, I hate to say this, it looked like a damn werewolf. A Hollywood werewolf.
Yeah, it's quiet. Yeah. Like there's no spring peepers or anything.
But it just disappeared in front of her. And she, you know.
I'm picturing Fabio with a dog face.
And
what do you guys
it was probably
picturing?
at least this height,
Close?
putting its hand out in front of us.
But there's something about east of the Mississippi.
I mean, it's right here. We're right here.
Do you have any proof? I do. He said, but unfortunately, you would die.
when these people see these things, there's sort of a menacing evil about them, and there's a sense of kind of a malevolence about them.
You used the word demonic.
Yes.
What brought that to mind?
I mean, it looked unworldly. It didn't look like it belonged in this world.
Yeah, I think they ran out of Bigfoot things to do, so now they're doing Dogman movies. Because I talked to 2 of the members of Small Town Monsters, and when I talked to them, they were just getting back from Alaska for filming. What do you call it? Filming. What the hell? I just saw it here. Yeah, on the trail. No, not Land of the Missing. Yeah, on the trail, Bigfoot, the last frontier. The last frontier. That's. I mean, they've done a lot. They've done a lot of Bigfoot movies, but now they're breaking into Dogman, and as you saw, there was a Jersey Devil trailer as well that they're working on. Oh, actually, okay, you can watch some of their older stuff on here, because like Minerva Monster is a good one, Beast of Whitehall is a good one, Boggy Creek Monster is a good one. Invasion on Chestnut Ridge is amazing. So is
it looks like The Last Frontier on the Trail of Bigfoot is available.
And apparently you can watch Werewolves on Earth in its completeness. So, all right, I'm definitely gonna be watching.
That's cool.
I'm gonna be watching some shit on YouTube next week or so. But I mean, there's so much else. I mean, that's their podcast they've done. That was 2 years ago now since they released anything. And they've done On the Trail of as well. Season 1 was Champ the Lake Monster. So I mean, I've interviewed 2 of them. Seth Breedlove, who was one of the podcasters, and I also interviewed Alexander Petikov, if I think I got his name right. Oh,
That'd be awesome to get them on your show.
I've had them both on my show. Alexander Petikov is a cameraman for them, and he's traveled with them to all these different places. And when I talked to him, they just got back from Alaska. Seth Breedlove is. I let you in, Scott. I don't know why you're not showing up on camera.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
But yeah, they just got back from Alaska when I talked to Alexander, and Seth Breedlove is a podcast host / researcher for them, and he goes out on all their excursions and tries to find evidence. And he's also a pastor. So he's a pastor who believes in the paranormal. I mean, if you want to listen to a good interview, that is one of my best interviews. It's Seth Breedlove. It's back in the beginning of my Paranormal New Normal show, like back in 2021, I'm guessing. So, but good interview. I mean, if you want to hear a pastor basically tell you how he can be a pastor and still believe in all these cryptids and everything, then
that would be interesting. Yep.
Actually, Deborah, you did watch it back in the day because I'm pretty sure you watched the live. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you messaged me afterwards.
Oh,
you were like that. You were like that. That was a good interview.
Yeah, you're right. I remember watching it live. Yeah.
I just remember to have like the corner of my mind that you commented on that like 2 years ago. I was like, oh yeah. But well, I got nothing else for tonight. And we did.
What are we doing next week?
Well, brackets in 2 weeks. So next week is. That was Michael's topic last week. My topic this week. Deborah's topics next week.
Well, I got 2 things. I don't know. Do we want to talk about this after, or are we throwing it out there right now?
Yeah, we'll talk about it after. It's all good.
We'll give them the 2 options. Come on now.
Okay. So I was thinking, first of all, let's talk about consciousness and
didn't we just do that?
No, not consciousness. No. I want to get into like Elon and getting the chip, plugging into
Neuralink.
Neuralink wise versus, meditating and doing it naturally, whatever what everybody thinks about all that. However, since there's been aliens landing at the mall, I mean, would it be appropriate to talk about some aliens and sightings?
It's always it's
going on.
always appropriate. Always appropriate to talk about extraterrestrials. So
Well, let's dig into that because that's pretty that is pretty wild footage that it blew up all over this last week. It's been so much fun watching that.
Well,
but we also got
crazy shit going on.
But
we want
if
some
we're going
on the scene reporting, Michael.
Yeah,
but
right.
if we're going to talk about Florida incidents, we need to call them extraterrestrials, not aliens, because certain people in Florida might get offended by that.
Okay.
Yeah, Florida,
Just
man.
saying.
I don't know.
Interdimensional
That's
beings.
paranormal, the new normal at gmail.com for your comments.
Go ahead. It's not a real email, so go ahead. But
I really want to talk about this jellyfish thing. That is the weirdest video I've ever seen.
Well, next week, extraterrestrials. So, yay! And then the week after that, we are concluding the most awesome creatures and monsters of all time bracket with part 3.
Beautiful.
So, Scott, we will start looking for guests now because it's 2 weeks out.
I already got one guy I just met that works at my company, and then I'll ask Jerry after the show. John's been working super late, so I don't know if the Buckles will come.
Why can't Brandy come by herself?
I'll ask her. I think
Brandy's
John likes
fun,
doing it more than Brandy.
Oh, maybe. But he's gone like half the time, but whatever. Deborah, outro.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, you guys. Woohoo! That was a good episode. I enjoyed it.
That was great. Really cool topic.
Yeah. Next week, we're getting into it. What to do when you come face to face at the mall with a creature from outer space.